It looks like we have a good number of participants here, some good, some familiar names too. It's great to have you all with us. We have been getting a lot of calls about how do we hold meetings for our government entities during this time of COVID-19 and coronavirus. And we have some solutions for you that we'll be going through, showing you. We think these solutions are effective, and also they don't cost much. Hopefully these will help you all to hold virtual meetings, so you're able to maintain that social distancing while this pandemic is going on, but still able to conduct your business and also to maintain the transparency with your constituents, so they're able to tune in, if not participate in your proceedings. Joining me also on this call is Brandon. He's with our production department, and he works closely with the Open Media government software, government transparency software as a service that we provide, and I think all of you are familiar with. And then also our executive director, Tony Shawcross, I think is going to be joining us on this call. My computer says Tony Shawcross, but that's actually me, John Aiden. We're just using our Zoom account, which is under our executive director's name. So that's why it says Tony on there and not me. And again, just real quickly, down at the bottom, you should be able to get to the controls for Zoom to mute and unmute, as well as open up the chat window, and in those kinds of features with the Zoom presentation that we're doing here. And anywhere along here, if you have any questions, again, please do not hesitate to unmute and just speak up and ask a question. Love to get your input and be able to answer your questions as well. I also sent the curriculum to you all. Hopefully you received it via email. And it just kind of goes over the information as well as the step-by-step instructions that we'll be going through here. So you should have received that as well. And then I'm also going to forward the link to the recording of this, so you can forward it to any of your coworkers who weren't able to attend. So again, the objectives for this class and webinars is to kind of show different solutions, ways for you all to hold virtual meetings for your city governments, city and county governments, during this time, especially during this time of COVID-19. And then demonstrate how you could use these technologies and still maintain your transparency, as well as involvement and participation with your constituents. All of you, I think, are familiar with the Open Media software as a service. I think most of you all are currently using that software as a service. As you probably know, that software as a service is hardware agnostic. At least that's the kind of the term that we use, meaning as long as you have a way to stream your video signal to YouTube, you can use the Open Media software as a service. Some of you all use a Mevo, which is a small camera. Some of you all may be using like what we do at the Colorado channel, where you have multiple cameras going through a video switcher, and from the video switcher it streams to YouTube. So any of those kinds of solutions work fine with Open Media. And I think as you'll see here, these ideas we have for the virtual meetings are not dependent, as well as not dependent on the hardware that you currently have. To do these solutions, you will need to have YouTube Live enabled. Now, if you're currently using Open Media, you have that enabled already. But this is assuming that you are going to be attempting to stream your virtual meeting to YouTube Live. And as you all know, Open.media leverages YouTube, so your connection with your Open.media software through your virtual meeting is going to be connected to Open.media via YouTube, just like you typically would do for a meeting that is not virtual in nature. The first solution I want to talk about is a switcher solution, and so this kind of solution depends on you having a video switcher like Telestream or Telecaster, or Broadcast Pix or Livestream. We Cherry Hills Village now has a Livestream switcher, which we hooked up for them. And it's typically used in a multi-camera setup, like at the Capitol as well, where we have multiple cameras going through a Broadcast Pix switcher. And so basically all this involves is taking your laptop with your Skype meeting or your Google Hangout or your Zoom meeting or your WebEx or whatever you're holding your virtual meeting, whatever virtual meeting software you're using, and connecting that laptop to your switcher. And it usually goes through out of your laptop using an HDMI cable, which is a very common connection. You probably have it in going from your computer to your monitor. Now, to go into your switcher, you may need a converter, HDMI to SDI type converter. These are very affordable and very common as well. If your video crew doesn't already have one, they probably do, to make the conversion to go into your switcher. And then from there, just like you would broadcast any one of your number of cameras, it's just going to be sent out how you would typically stream. So that's a very easy solution if you already have a switcher in place. But probably most of you all are in the category where you do not you're using a Mevo or some other solution that does not involve a switcher. So we're going to talk about some of these other virtual meeting softwares and how you can use them to connect to YouTube. First one is Google Hangouts or Google Meet. I think they're going through a rebranding, so I think Hangouts is going to be the old name and the new name is going to be Google Meet. This is a very easy, and it comes with, if you have Gmail, you have this ability, and it's very easy to connect with. We use this all the time with meetings inside of our office, and say I want to connect, with Brandon. I would just click on that to start a call, or it's also incorporated with any meeting that you put on your calendar is going to have the Google information with it. So here's a little test, and the video conferencing information. Let's see, let me add Brandon here. And here you are, and here is the Google Hangout Meet ID that you can use to connect with as well. So it works with Google Calendar as well. It used to be where Google Hangouts you used to be able to stream to YouTube directly from Google Hangouts, and that was called Google Hangouts on Air. And it was just really, really easy to create your Skype type meeting that you're doing with Google Hangouts into a live stream video on YouTube. unfortunately, that service has been disconnected, if the service was still going, this conversation would probably be a lot quicker. But unfortunately, that service has been disconnected, or discontinued. So, if you are using Google Hangouts, you're going to have to figure out another way to stream your session to YouTube. One possible solution is OBS. OBS is a free encoder that streams to YouTube. And so you can either stream like what you see on your screen. You can also screen or send out videos, and you can also send out slates. So it's very powerful, and it's used a lot by gamers when they're streaming their gaming sessions to YouTube. But you just hook it up through this OBS software that, again, is free to download, and you can start streaming to YouTube that way. So those are that's a possible solution that involves Google Hangouts, but we found this solution through Zoom to be the most, I think it's the easiest one. I think it's the preferable one to go with. And I'm sure, you know, you all are on a Zoom meeting right now, so you're kind of familiar with how it looks and sounds. So if you can just imagine how a Zoom meeting would proceed in that same way, it's just we're going to add a few more steps to send the Zoom out to YouTube, so it's broadcast YouTube live, and also so it's incorporated with your open media software as well. To do this, you will need a Zoom account. All right, so real quickly here, I want to bring up the zoom.us page and plans and pricing plans. Now, they have a basic free service, but unfortunately, the limit on each meeting is 40 minutes in length. So I'm guessing most of you all, your city councils are not that fast. The city council meetings are a little bit longer than that, so the free is not going to work. So you're probably going to need the pro solution. And then if you want to stream to YouTube, you're going to also need the add video webinars optional plan, which is an additional $40 per month. So it's $14.99 per month, and then an additional $40 per month to stream to YouTube. These give you meeting durations higher than or up to 24 hours. So fortunately, none of us have meetings, I don't think, that go that long. So you should be okay in that category. And plus, you also have the ability to record your meetings like I'm doing right now up on the cloud, and you have some cloud storage there to record your meeting through Zoom if you want to do that. And then again, of course, you will need the video webinars if you want to stream to YouTube. That's an additional $40 per month. So that's the kind of plan that we have, and what I'm going to walk through here to set this up. Now, before, and this allows up to 100 total interactive participants inside of your virtual meeting. So that's like you all being participants. We currently have 23 participants on this webinar. So you can have up to 100 participants in your virtual meeting. So that will include all the participants, your city council members, etc. And also anyone from the public who wants to dial in. Great. So let's go through the steps here of scheduling a Zoom meeting. Right. All right. So with your account set up, you're just going to put in the name for your meeting. So say, city council, something like that, and give it the date and time of when it's going to start. You can make it a recurring meeting, so you can make it happen more than once. So if you have a regularly scheduled city council meeting every.
It looks like Emily has some suggestions on Zoom bombing. Emily, if you have a mic available and wanted to chime in with some suggestions, that might be useful for the group.
Let's see.
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yeah, we sure can. Hi, Emily.
Hi, yeah. So we just had this discussion with our city manager. So our approach for our public meetings is going to be that we're not publicly, we'll be streaming the meeting to YouTube, but we'll only be letting people into the actual Zoom meeting who sign up for public comment ahead of time, or if they're a council member, obviously. So the meeting will be set up so that you can only sign in if we've added you to the invite list using your email. And otherwise we'll be sending out just the YouTube link for the public to watch, because we were very afraid that this type of thing was going to happen.
Exactly, this would happen, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
On one of our council meetings. And I've just read some horror stories. So Laura Gillespie, who's also on the call, is our city clerk. So she and I have spent the last 2 days trying to figure out the best way to do that. We looked into the webinar option and sort of splitting people into participants and attendees, but the downside with that seems to be attendees will still have access to the chat unless we totally turn chat off. And something that had happened with other webinars was people, put a bunch of racist slurs into the chat, and then the chat had to be turned off. So that wasn't going to work out for us either, because that's how we wanted people to sign up for public comment. So they'll just have to sign up ahead of time, and we're going to really control who's actually in the meeting. And hopefully that will work. I can let you guys know if you want after April 7th.
Great, thanks, Emily. Appreciate that insight. And obviously, you will, have to come up with some kind of system to control who comes in the meetings, make sure that they're coming in with the best intentions. So thanks for that input. Great. Anyone else have a comment?
Yeah, this is Steve Buckley. I was just wondering, isn't there I know Zoom has a default setting that allows people to unmute themselves, and then I've been told that to prevent Zoom bombing, you need to go into change that default setting so that people cannot unmute themselves.
Sure. Yeah. So let's take a look at some of those settings here. Here's the one that's set up for later on for this week. So when you set up your Zoom meeting, you're gonna set up your kind of like your time, or obviously the name of the Zoom meeting and the date and time, and then you can set up a unique ID for it, which is what I tend to do. So this is just kind of assuming that you're not having one regular meeting every Wednesday or something like that. You're probably going to want to use more of a unique. This is where you can control the video settings. So for on for both host and participant is what we recommend, and then audio for both telephone and computer audio options. I just leave that on both as well. But these are the other options that you have as well. So enable join before host. So that means that if that's clicked on, the host does not have to have started the meeting for other people to join in. And then mute participants upon entry. So that means when they come in, they'll be muted. There's also a waiting room feature that you can you can do as well. Now this is kind of gets to Emily's point here. Only authenticated users can join, so they would have to create a Zoom account to be able to join in that way.
Could you elaborate on the waiting room? Do you know what
Sure.
exactly that is?
Yeah, sure. I looked this up just a moment ago. So
Oh, sorry.
this allows the host to control when a participant joins the meeting. So this may be something that would work for your public. You know, you want your public to be able to just, you kind of want to keep them in a holding pattern so they can watch the meeting, but not necessarily participate until you're ready for your public participation part of your meeting. You may want to try this this waiting room option here.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. By the way, a lot of these features, you may need to go into your settings in your Zoom account and set it up, make sure it's set up for instance, for the YouTube features, you have to get those set up through your account settings as well. So you go into settings and go down to in meeting advanced, and there's a lot of these types of features that you can turn off and on, but you'll want to make sure that this allow live stream meetings is turned on, and make sure you have YouTube checked there as well. Zoom does supposedly also stream to Facebook, but it's one or the other, so you're not going to be able to stream to both at the same time. And I tried actually to stream to Facebook this morning. I was testing it out and I could not get it to work. But supposedly it does have streaming to Facebook as well. Well, we're going to assume that you all want to go ahead and stream a meeting to YouTube. Once you're ready, once you're going, what we kind of recommend is you just kind of go down here and click on the live on YouTube. And you're going to pick your YouTube account. If you haven't signed in before, this is where you can do it. You can sign in with your YouTube account and put in. So you will need your YouTube credentials for your YouTube channel. You can keep the name of. It'll take the same name by default of your Zoom meeting, or you can change it. So you want to change it there, and then this changes the privacy for the YouTube video. So this just changing the privacy for the YouTube video. Unlisted means that they'll need the URL to find the video. It won't be listed if you do a search on YouTube. You you shouldn't be able to find it. I'm just going to go ahead and click live. And so there is about a 20-second delay between what happens on Zoom and what happens on YouTube. And it takes about 30-40 seconds for it to get up and going. But once you hit that go live button, you guys hear that echo there? So you'll want to, it will go to the YouTube stream page, and it'll show you that the session is in progress, and then you will want to mute it so you don't hear that 20 or 30-second echo that you're hearing right there. But that tells you that it is going live, and we are broadcasting this Zoom session now on. So it's really easy to connect to YouTube Live that way. Down below here is the share link. So this is how you're going to connect the YouTube Live event here to your Open Media software. All right, so you want to copy this share link, and I'm going to create a new session here. Zoom 1, and then you'll paste in this YouTube link right here. Upload your agenda just like you typically would and click save. And as I go to the indexing page, like I'm sure you've done before to start timestamping, this is you'll notice that it's already live and active. It is going right now. Now you will need to throw this live on site switch. This turns the front facing button blue to tell your constituents that you have a session that's currently live in progress. And so if I go see it right now, it's not blue. If I refresh here, it's going to be blue, and that tells them that we have a session that's currently live in progress. And so this is front facing open media site, and so this is what they'll be seeing. And it's again, it's the live Zoom meeting that's happening right there. So it's really easy, again, to connect with from Zoom to YouTube. Any questions about that? Right. Cool. Now, real quickly, I'll show you how to stop it. The way this is supposed to work, the stream is supposed to stop. The YouTube, I should say the YouTube event should stop when either I go up here to more again and go down and hit stop live stream, or if you leave or end the meeting. I should say if you end the meeting here. Now I don't want to do that because that's going to cut off everyone. So I'm just going to go in here and stop the live stream. So that stops the YouTube stream. But what I have found is that it just keeps going. So even though the Zoom is no longer sending a signal to YouTube, YouTube indicates that the session is still live, which is really strange. So I think there's something that's not working right with Zoom and its connection to YouTube. And I just wanted to make you aware of this because this will just will just continue to tick up and up. And in fact, if I go to our open media software, you can see that the time code is still ticking here. So YouTube thinks that the event is still happening. So if you go to open media, you can stop the event here and just hit stop, and that will in fact stop the YouTube event. So notice it says complete. The slider turned off, and if I go here, it should, yes, it's showing that the event has now stopped. If I refresh this, should be able to go back and watch the replay. All right. So from what in terms of what your constituents should see if they're interfacing with your website and open.media, it really should look the same, with the only exception being that it's instead of your Mevo camera or your switcher, it'll be a Zoom meeting that is what they are watching. So,
is there any way that you guys have found to add graphics for the before? Like our council a lot of times will not actually be on time due to technical difficulties of somebody not being able to join Zoom. So therefore we need to not have them on the record yet. And we would like to have some graphic showing that says this is city council. Are you following what I'm? Absolutely,
absolutely, yes. I'm trying to think of, one thing I would recommend, I really would recommend that one staffer is kind of responsible for the Zoom meeting. And so they are, muting the participants in case there's a background noise, right? They're able to mute that. They can also, during that time, they can do a screen share. So that's what I would recommend doing during that time. I would mute all the participants and just show a screen share. Now, if you mute everyone, that means that your city council people aren't going to be able to hear each other. So if they
Right,
need
their troubleshooting then fails at that point.
exactly, yep. So they're going to be unable to prepare, at least on the Zoom meeting. Yeah. So.
Okay. So not a
The-
good solution for that just yet.
not just using Zoom. Another option though, and this kind of gets back to the OBS possibility. Now with OBS, you have the option of showing your screen, but you can also show just images. And
Correct.
with this, you could be able to mute your desktop audio here, so it's muted, right? And then until you're ready to go. So that Zoom meeting would be in progress. It's just that people watching on YouTube would not be able to see it or hear it. So that may be a solution as well. Yeah. And it kind of all gets back to also the what we were talking about earlier with the switcher solutions. And again, this is probably what we're going to be doing with the Colorado State Legislature. You know, having a laptop as a separate source going into a video switcher, and with that you can add your graphics, play music, or whatever you would typically do, just
Sure.
like it's a camera coming in. So that would be the easiest way to control that. But if you're working just with Zoom, going to YouTube, you're kind of stuck with, you know, the features that are already built in Zoom, and they don't have a way to, you know, other than doing a screen share, they don't have a way to kind of change what the participants are
Right.
seeing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? Great.
Did you see Jeff's question?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Let me look at the chat.
Jeff's question is, any thoughts on how you go in and out of executive session?
This is kind of a similar obstacle to what we face with really any session that's streaming to YouTube. Because the problem with YouTube is you can't pause the recording, right? Is a good. I almost think you would need a separate Zoom. If you're using Zoom, a separate Zoom session exclusively for your executive session that is invite only. Yeah, someone just typed in, our county government suggested using a second Zoom meeting. That's what I would recommend too. So moving from, and hopefully, you know, you put that Zoom your executive session at the end, so you're able, and not in the middle of a city council meeting, so you don't have to go back and forth. Oh, that's right. Jen from Georgetown recommended a exec session. You know, something, a feature that I don't have much experience using, but may want to look into it, is the breakout rooms. So there are, you do have the ability to kind of separate your participants into breakout rooms, and with those breakout rooms, you may be able to control who can go in and who cannot go in.
So if you were to create another YouTube session as private, that is only accessible under being logged in your account, correct?
Yes, That's right. And so a private YouTube session, and the people watching the video you would have to individually invite them through their through their Google account. Yes.
I'm curious though, why would you be using YouTube if you're using Zoom anyway? This is Jesse Carpenter from Maryland.
Yes.
So why would you be, why wouldn't you just use Zoom for your executive session? Why would you use YouTube at all for that portion of the meeting?
You probably, if for an executive session, you probably wouldn't need to use YouTube at all. I would recommend just using a Zoom meeting and not streaming to YouTube.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. It's a good question. And I mean, it kind of begs the question, why would you use YouTube at all, right? Zoom does have the ability to record. You can record your sessions on the cloud or your local computer. But YouTube you have the potential to reach people that are not part of the Zoom meeting, whether they are invited or not. And plus, the YouTube has the integration with the Open Media software as well. So your Zoom meetings are appearing like any other session that you have with your Open.media, any other Open.media session. Now, you could conceivably, if you don't want to bother with having your Zoom meeting on YouTube while you are live, you could record your Zoom meeting, right? And then later on, for instance, I have recordings here, previous sessions. I can download these, and it just downloads as an MP4, and I could upload that to YouTube. So you could share it that way as well, if you want to put it up to YouTube later on. Great. Any other questions?
I just want to say, again, this is Jesse again. So we have had one city council meeting using Zoom and Open Media together. Yeah, so what we've been able to do, which is really nice, is we've been able to advertise that people can watch the meeting in all the usual ways. So we're streaming on our website, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on City TV as well. So it's been really seamless for that. So we have been, we're experimenting now with public comments, and this session has been excellent to see what the pitfalls are, and we are making people sign up in advance before allowing public comments.
Great,
Just
good.
to share that.
Good. Steve asks, where are some other resources for best practices, how to prevent Zoom bombing? I would say the Zoom website would be a good place to start for that. If you hopefully find some resources there. Great. Any other questions?
One of the challenges we've had is that the audio comes in super hot from some and then very soft from others. Has anybody found a good solution for kind of maintaining one audio level?
That is a great question, Amy.
So this is Jesse again. We've been having people come in early to do sound checks so
Okay.
that we get a sense of what everybody sounds like before the actual public, before we start streaming the meeting publicly.
You know, computers have the ability to change the input and output, or the output levels for your microphones. So if you're on a Mac, you can go into sound, but you know, it just kind of talking someone through that, you know, where to find it in their control panel or whatever. You know, they may not feel comfortable doing that. So, but that's Jesse's suggestion of getting them on, and that kind of goes, you know, to to the point of starting your meeting early, 10 minutes early or whatever, to give you some time to diagnose these issues, as well as set up the link to YouTube Live, and make sure that you can do that. Great. Any other questions? Great. Well, as always, if you all have any questions, follow-up questions or anything like that you want to ask us, don't hesitate to send us an email at support@open.media. And we'll definitely get back with you all on those as soon as we can. And in the meantime, please, you all stay safe. And we'll see you out there.